Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Breaking Bias. What's happening in Bangladesh? Thousands of students are taking a stand for what they believe in. But what are they fighting for? Let's break down the ongoing quota reform movement that's gripping the nation. The student protests in Bangladesh, which have escalated significantly in recent weeks, are primarily focused on demanding reforms to the government's job quota system. This system reserves up to 30% of government jobs for the descendants of veterans who fought in the 1971 War of Independence against Pakistan. Students argue that this quota system is unfair and discriminatory, particularly as it tends to favour supporters of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Awami League party, 5 source, 6 source. The protests began after the High Court reinstated these job quotas, overturning a 2018 decision by the Hasina administration to abolish them. The Supreme Court later suspended the High Court's ruling, pending a final decision expected in early August. Despite this, tensions escalated when Hasina refused to meet the students' demands, leading to violent clashes between protesters, police, and members of the ruling party's student wing. 5 source, 6 source, 7 source. The situation turned deadly with multiple fatalities and hundreds injured, prompting the government to deploy military forces and impose curfews in various cities. Schools and universities have been shut down indefinitely, and internet and mobile services have been restricted in an attempt to curb the unrest. Source 7 source. The protests have also highlighted broader issues such as high youth unemployment and economic stagnation, making stable government jobs highly sought after. Students fear that the quota system significantly limits their opportunities based on merit, exacerbating their frustrations. 6 sevenths source. The international community, including the UN and Amnesty International, has called on the Bangladesh government to ensure the safety of peaceful protesters and uphold their right to demonstrate. Source. Background. The quota system in Bangladesh reserves a significant percentage of government jobs for specific groups: 30% for freedom fighters, descendants, 10% for women, 10% for district quotas, 5% for ethnic minorities, 1% for people with disabilities. This leaves only 44% of government jobs available for the general population, leading to widespread discontent among the educated youth who feel marginalized by this system. Origins of the movement. The movement began in April 2018, led by students from various universities, including Dhaka University, Jahangirnagar University, and Rajshahi University. The protests were sparked by a call for a reduction in the quota percentage, proposing that 56% of government jobs should be allocated based on merit. Key events leading to 2024. 1. 2018 protests. Massive protests led to violent clashes with police. The government initially promised reforms but later retracted, citing constitutional complications. Formation of the General Students' Rights Protection Council, GSRPC, to represent the movement. 2. 2019-2022 period. Periodic protests continued, with occasional confrontations with law enforcement. Dialogues between student leaders and the government yielded little progress. 3. 2023 escalation. Renewed protests due to frustration over the lack of substantial reform. Increasing participation from broader sections of society, including parents and academics. 2024, the renewed surge. January 2024 protests reignited with greater intensity. Students from all major universities in Bangladesh took to the streets, demanding immediate action on the quota reform. The protests were marked by peaceful demonstrations and human chains, sit-ins and campus lockouts. February-March 2024. Increased police presence and sporadic violence. Several student leaders were detained, leading to further unrest. Government announced the formation of a committee to review the quota system, but students dismissed it as a delaying tactic. April-May 2024. Escalation of protests with larger participation. Support from opposition political parties and civil society organizations. Nationwide student strikes and road blockades. June 2024, government introduced a draft reform bill in Parliament, proposing to reduce the freedom fighter quota from 30% to 20% and adjust other categories. Mixed reactions from students. Many saw it as insufficient. July 2024, Protests continued as students demanded further reductions and a clear timeline for implementation. Increased instances of violence and arrests, leading to international attention and human rights organizations calling for restraint and dialogue. Current situation. As of July 21, 2024, the situation remains tense. Despite the government's proposed bill, students continue to press for more significant changes. Key points include demands: reduction of freedom fighter quota to 10%, complete removal of district quotas, and more emphasis on merit-based recruitment. Government's stance: willingness to negotiate but maintaining that some quotas are essential for social equity. Public opinion: divided, with significant support for students' demands, but also concerns about maintaining social balance. International reaction: calls from international bodies for peaceful resolution and respect for students' rights to protest. Conclusion: the quota reform movement in Bangladesh reflects broader issues of equity, meritocracy, and governance. As of mid-2024, it remains a contentious issue with the potential for significant political and social repercussions. The resolution of this movement will likely shape the future dynamics of governance and youth engagement in Bangladesh. Implications for the future: the outcome of the quota reform movement could influence future youth movements and their approach to advocacy, impact government policies on education and employment, shape the political landscape, particularly with national elections approaching. As the situation evolves, it remains crucial for all stakeholders to engage in constructive dialogue to achieve a resolution that balances merit with social justice. Thanks for watching. Follow us for more updates. Allah Hafez.